Deuce, the Kings lose, but again, one of those losses where we're just seeing some better basketball, and you're seeing better basketball from the second unit a lot of the game.
We said last game against Orlando, too. They didn't play as many minutes as they did tonight, but they were playing the right way. And that was encouraging to see. Again, I know we're at the stage of the season where it's like, all right, we know who the Kings are.
Sure.
But to see the compete level against a really talented Hawks team, even though they're a little shorthanded tonight, I thought it was fantastic because there were multiple times where it felt like, okay, maybe this game's going to start getting out of hand.
Yeah.
Hawks are up 16 at one point. They're up 10 in the fourth quarter. And the Kings kept chipping away. I liked what I saw from the effort tonight. It's hard to be upset about it. I thought the swing in this game, though, was when the Hawks put their starting lineup back in, and they've got size up front with Johnson, Gay, and Landale. And the Kings didn't go back to Precious Achiuwa. So, you know, you've got one big out there, and then the rest is like, you know, DeRozan and Jeffries and Plowden. And that just puts you in some compromising positions. They are so effective with their pick and roll game. They get threes out of it. All of a sudden, you get a switch where you have Monk defending Landale, DeMar's battling Gay. It's really challenging on that back line, and they gave up some good looks down the stretch.
And I'm glad you bring that up, and obviously don't want to speculate and be like, is something wrong? But it did feel like that because of the big bodies that were in there for the Hawks, and then obviously the Kings and Doug not going, choosing to go back to someone like Precious Achiuwa. I know so many people out there are like, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that, guys. We're still, you know, trying to work this way for the NBA draft lottery, making sure you don't win too many games on the stretch. But at the same time, too, when he was one of those players within actually the starting unit that was playing really well throughout this entire game. I mean, it feels like we've talked about him every single game the last couple.
Yeah, he only played 20 minutes in this game.
Yeah.
And he had 16.6 rebounds in that span. And he came out about midway through that third quarter. So I don't know, maybe Doug was just going with a different group down the stretch. Second half of back-to-back.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but his size was definitely missed out there once the Hawks went back to their starters. They've got so much size out there. Precious was really impactful in that first half.
And you talked about how the Hawks, when they went with the two bigs and everything else, you saw the biggest difference. Kings didn't go back to Precious Achiuwa. But I really felt like the Hawks' second quarter run, that was pretty wild because you and I were talking about that at the half as well. And it was like, okay, the Hawks are starting to look a little bit more like the Hawks right now. Kings had no answer in that run.
Well, again, look at this pick and roll situation.
Oh, my.
You know, getting behind the defense, creating some good looks. And, you know, CJ can knock down shots. But I thought one of the big differences during this 20-5 run, it was the Hawks defense leading to a lot of this.
Yes.
The Kings were a bit rattled. They had some turnovers, some missed shots, and this Hawks team is lethal out in transition. Again, seeking out a mismatch. Max did his best on that one, but CJ made him dance, got a good look. So that, I thought second quarter was big. They outscored him 39-24 in that second quarter. They had 20 assists at the half. They end up with 34 in the game.
Yeah.
The next thing we got to talk about, though, on the good front for Sacramento.
What?
This Kings bench.
I know.
And I'm blown away by it a little bit. They were outstanding. Plowden, a little bit of a revenge game tonight against the Hawks, 14 points. Daquan Jeffries with 15. Killian Hayes. These three were instrumental out there.
Absolutely.
And it wasn't just with the scoring. That's great. But it kind of reminds me of March Madness, the time of year we're in, right? Where sometimes you have like this small school who wins some small conference, go up against some big bad team with all these stars, but that team that just plays the right way, they share the ball, they get the job done. And this Kings bench, 45 points tonight, they had 14 assists. They're so switchable. They were doing such a great job getting the ball up and down the floor in transition and knock down some shots.
Well, and you compare it to a small school playing the right way, and obviously everyone's always rooting on the underdog in those moments, but those moments, it's such a more fun style of basketball to watch, to see a team that you root for play the right way, even when it's names that you're not used to being out there and everything else. It doesn't matter. They have that jersey on. You want to see them play an identity that fits where you want to see this team go. And I think that's exactly what we saw with that bench. And it's so great to see, obviously, someone like Daquan Jeffries in his 27 minutes have some play some good basketball. We always talk about him in the G League. But Daquan Plowden, once again, You said it to me at one point during this game. You're like, man, I could really see him with the Kings next year, because you just never know where his journey is going to go and where the Kings are going to go. But at the same time, when you see him play, you're like, yeah, this could fill up this roster.
I've seen it. Look, we're getting to a stretch where it's not just, he's knocking down shots.
That's a good story.
It's tough late in the year when you have a team that's won 19 games to try to decipher, all right, what's real, what's not. It doesn't mean he's a 20-point-a-game scorer in the NBA, but what are the things he does well out there? Well, tonight, a good example. Again, you see him really good defensively. Then you see in transition, just his athleticism. He's so good at spacing the floor, sprinting to the right spots, relocating, and then the shot making has been there. He shot over 40% in the G League, and now he's trending way up in the NBA.
Yeah, it's great to see for someone like Daquan Plowden. He had some big dunks in that game as well, but we'll talk a little bit more about those coming up.
I got one more.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
We got to give love to Killian Hayes.
Wait. Oh, yep. Deuce's show, and we're just all.
Oh,
yep, correct. Go
I'm
on.
sorry. I just want to give a little love to Killian Hayes off the bench, too, because I thought defensively he was a pest, and he had so many moments just with the lead pass. Yeah. I know it doesn't always show up on the highlight reel, but Killian Hayes is out there after hurting his hand last game, running the team effectively. Again, the Kings bench unit that featured Neek, Dylan Cardwell, Hayes, Plowden, and Jeffries, I thought was a group that played some of the best basketball tonight and were a huge reason why this game was even close in that fourth quarter.
How many times was I saying, even when Killian Hayes was out there on the defensive end, and it was like that extra effort you're seeing. Even if you're seeing him try to run some guy off the line, and maybe that's not exactly what you do to that shooter. It was just the effort that I feel like we hadn't seen from others down this stretch of basketball, where you're wondering why guys' hands are down or whatever it is, but you're seeing it from Hayes and Plowden and obviously Jeffries.
That bench lineup just has a lot of athleticism out there, right? They've got length, size, athleticism, switchability that the starting lineup doesn't have, right? Monk's undersized when he's a starter out there. Devin Carter, undersized. That group, that bench group, you had a traditional point guard, you got some shooting and athleticism, and it looked pretty good.
It really did. And Doug Christie spoke after this game. Let's see what he had to say after this loss.
Yeah. They've seized an opportunity to come up and play, and they've played the right way first. But second of all, the defense that they've brought to the game has been a big blessing. So some versatility, if our bench, and I think ultimately that's what we want in Sacramento, is the ability to dominate from the bench perspective. Going forward in our era, we had the bench mob and different things. It's something that is that you need on a night-to-night basis, because they either take the lead and blow it up, or they get you back in the game, but they definitely change the physicality, aggressiveness, and energy.
So true about that bench squad.
Whoa,
and look, okay, it's like a hawk flying over the Atlanta Hawks court. You like that?
Yeah, it wasn't totally smooth, but I got it.
Okay, whatever. Well, the Kings lose 123 to 113. We'll be right back on Toyota Postgame Live.